Okay, so we're gonna get going. Welcome to all of you that made it. Thank you for coming. Julie's gonna be over here kind of helping, and people coming later, we'll let you in, but we are gonna record it, so we put this out. So the topic for this is the first one. I'm doing this all around school, SKOL/EJS golf. Free community has started, really to just get stuff out to people all throughout the world, so they kind of see what my teaching methods are, what I focus on, and then build courses within there they get to help get better and better the game. That's the goal of mine as a coach. So thought today we'd start off with something that I feel like is the biggest epidemic in golf, and that is fat golf shots. So people hitting the ball heavy behind it. And so I'll open it up here to questions here in a bit, but I want to go over just basics on mentally, because what I found out with most people with fat golf shots, we have the wrong thought in our mind of what we should be doing. And it's not, I don't believe golf is intuitive. If it were, we would be much better at it as a nation, and we're not. We don't get that much better. We can through coaching, but we hit the stats show after about 3 years on our own, it kind of plateaus. But you find out with all those people that are plateauing, it's the picture that they have in their mind of what they're supposed to be doing is wrong. And so when we just talk about golf and what we're supposed to propelling this ball with this implement down the down the range or towards your target on the course or whatever, we have something called low point. Okay, so every golf swing is a circle of some sort, right? And then in this circle, there's a low point. Most people's low point, where that circle bottoms out, is behind the golf ball. So they hit ground first and then the ball. So that's seriously, first off, you don't put spin on, you don't get compression, you don't gain near the distance you should get. All kinds of crazy things go on because of that. And you just don't, to me, golf isn't nearly as fun because of it. And if you just look at the difference between, let's just say a pro and amateur, if you just say, what is the difference between all of it on a simple level, it'd be ball striking. I'm not talking about moving the ball right or left or distance or anything. I'm talking about just hitting the ball. What they've all done is they've all figured out how to hit the ball first. So when I'm teaching a really good player, a pro, I don't have to spend time at all on them with hitting the ball first. They've already figured it out with whatever swing mechanics they use. They hit the ball first. And that should be our priority in golf always, is to learn to make good contact first, and then we build off that, okay? So knowing that we have this low point somewhere bottoming out for those of us that fat behind, we have to figure out how are we going to get this thing forward, okay? So there's a few different options, right? So if I'm here and my typical landing point is back here, I want you to notice something. Typically, a lot of people will use the neck, the base of the neck as our low point, or they'll use a shoulder as where our low point is. I think it's really easy to think about the base of the neck typically is where about our low point is. So if I'm hitting this golf ball and I have this vision in my head, which a lot of people do, that I have to get the ball in the air, I need to square this club face for that. We see a lot of casting and throwing the club like this to close the club face, which is one way to do it, okay? But what happens with that too is we close it and we stay back to help us, to give us time. And then look where my neck is, base of my neck is back here behind it. It's not up here forward, right? Where we need to get it. So we strike the ball with that angle of a descent down, landing up here. Now, the reason this doesn't happen and the reason people grow up casting, learning to cast, is because they figure out to close the club face, I can just throw it out there like this, cast, and it closes it. It's one way to do it, right? It's a way to close the club face is by going like this, and it's closed, right? But I'll never get compression. I will top it. I will hit it fat, and I'll catch them thin that way, okay? So there is a trick. And so back in the day, I would say up until probably 2000s, we had a lot of swings that were like this, a lot of rotation, and a lot of forearm rotation. So you'd hear a lot of players talk about back then with that kind of swing about how hard it was to, if they took time off, to come back to groove it again. But they were so good, they grooved it, and the pros would hit the ball great because they would hit a couple thousand balls a day like that. Now we've changed things for most golfers, that we've learned that it's much easier to learn to twist the shaft like this. And why, you're probably like, we're talking about fat shots, Eric. Why are you talking about this club face so much? Because if we don't get this club face under control, guess what we'll still do? We will still lean back, we'll still stand up, and we'll still throw it. Because guess what? Your mind knows where this club face is, and everything what we're doing is based on this. So how am I ever going to have swing out to the right, or how am I ever going to swing in front of it and land in front with an open club face? I won't, because the ball would go dead right. So they work together. Okay, so we have to learn to get the space angle under control in order to also move our low point up and get the ball so it doesn't go a million miles to the right. Okay, so how do we do that? So first off, we twist this club like this. We learn to twist the club instead of throwing it like this. Okay, now let's say you are a caster of it. Okay, and what's an option for you to get forward? Well, like I've already said, you aren't going to gain the compression that you want to do it. You're still going to catch fat and thin shots, but if we're going to still do that while we're playing, which we will, we can still get up here a bit. I would just advise when you're playing to close that club face a little bit to start, then take your grip, right? And then make sure whatever we're doing, we get more forward in our stance. So you see when I hit the ball, look where I'm at. I'm here. So look at the base of my neck, it's forward and here. And in TrackMan, we have a nice nifty number called low point, which tells me how far forward I was hitting it. So I'm going to show you two different options. One is going to be kind of behind. That was me trying to cast it and throw it. And I come with a low point of, so my tack angle is barely, because it's kind of hard for me to do, but let me get the low point on there real quick. I didn't do a good job because I still got to 1-3, which isn't enough. Like for me with a 7-iron or an 8-iron, I'm going to be at about 4 to 5. But okay, so that was a little closer. But what we want to get is this. We want to get this feeling of us coming down. I'm going to give you guys all a checkpoint, girls. When we get down here, it's called position 6 in front of our body. I want you to see this club face a little bit behind your hands, but notice how it's down. It's not like this. Because if this is up like this, by the time I get here, I have one choice. If I want to get it go straight, not a million miles to the right. Now, I can come like this and get shaft lean and get low point forward. The ball is going to go a million miles to the right. So what I need to do is what will happen to anybody that comes down with this open, they'll stand up like this and they'll throw it really, it'll throw really hard like that. They hit it like this. Will they square it up? Yeah. Sometimes they'll hit it good. Sometimes they won't. Okay. It's very hard to control low point with that. And this game is about controlling low point. So when we have our swing figured out that we're going to come here, we have our checkpoint right here, then we are able to turn through it and get more in front, okay? And our whole goal is probably, like I said, 7 or 8 iron, depending on how hard you swing. We'll verify. I mean, you can just hear the difference in sound if that comes through between that and when I try to cast real big. I mean, right there was about my average, about 4.2 after, attack angle down at 5. And this is the problem with people that hit it fat. Their low point is behind the ball. That means the angle of attack is up at the ball. So guess what that means that also brings in? It brings in the top golf shot because I will go from here. The club travels up, right? So there we go. We get the top golf shot with the fat one because here is traveling up, okay? As many of you know, it's not because you didn't pick your head up or anything like that. So low point is so key to learn how to do if you want to become a good ball striker, you want distance, you want to get spin on it, and anybody can do it. So I'm going to give a couple of drills. I have tons of drills because if you come see me and work with me, or you're one of my students that's with me right now, it's my number one thing is getting you to strike the ball really good first, and it's all about this low point. So a couple of drills I like to do. One is I want you to stand with your feet together, and really we do a lot of stuff from here to here. Because if you can't do it from here to here, you're not going to do it full swing, okay? And I'm also going to show you a great way to do this to practice. And this is what usually gets people. So they focus. I put a little tee about 3 inches in front of the golf ball, okay, on the ground. I didn't tee it up. Now, at the beginning when you're doing this, your eyes should be focused on it, okay, on that, because I don't want you thinking about the ball. I want you thinking about getting in front of it down there. You'll be amazing how well the body will organize. It's incredible what it will do if you let it do the right thing, okay? And one caveat to that when you're looking at it, I see people go wrong at times. They'll go like this, and imagine a tee is right there. They'll turn their head like this. Don't turn your head like that because then you won't be able to turn your body. Keep your head in the same position you would normally so you're able to get a good turn at it. I'm just going to show you just tee on the ground, a real little swing, and our focus is on taking the tee out, not the ball's going to get in the way. And what I like to do is for most people who are a little over the top to swing a little left, I'll put it a little bit to the right to kind of make them feel like they're swinging a little bit out to it. But I'm just going to do a little swing from here to here, okay? And focus, like I said, is on the tee. and you can see the tee went flying. So if I catch that, I'm going to catch the ball, and I know I had a low point way forward. I mean, I was 8, 9 down on it with my low point was 8 inches in front. Too much, but hey, that's what we're trying to do, right? I wouldn't have got enough height with it. So that is, to me, that's the number one drill, is just putting something in front. You can put a couple of quarters work, but I like doing it with feet together, and then I like to get the feeling of the feet apart for it and go from there. The another one I highly recommend too for this, to work on this, because we need our body working correctly, is grabbing a line stick, kind of hold it on your club, or there's tools like my students know, TRS we use, that you put on the end of your grip. We're gonna go like this. We're gonna put it against our side here. And what is this for? So when we swing through, I don't want this hitting us. See, if I throw the club, see how it's gonna hit me? If I don't, if I keep turning, it won't hit me. And that's the goal we want to do with this, okay? And this is how you gain your feelings and learn how to do this stuff, by doing these drills and feeling, what do I feel? How do I do it? And I still have something in front here. See how he did it? And so I didn't let it hit me. I kept rotating so it wouldn't hit me, right? And so get tack angle down to 5, 4.5 in front. Do you need to have TrackMan to know if you're doing it right? No, you don't. Just place something in front of the ball so you know that you're hitting it. And if people have more questions about drills and stuff, I'll show more. But there's 2 that are going to give you tons of feeling for what you need to quit hitting it fat, or even on the flip side, that top shot from coming up. So that's kind of the quick, I'd say, rundown on the fat golf shot. If anybody has any questions here, I'll answer it. If not, I'll continue on with another topic here. Any questions?
I got one.
Sure.
Who
we got? Hey, Ted. Oh, hi, Ted. Yeah. I think it cut out. Go ahead, Ted. Oh, David. Oh, David. Okay. Go ahead, David.
You mentioned you had 8 to 9 degrees attack angle, and the shot would come out low. As you know, I've been working on this for quite a few months with you, and I'm noticing I'm hitting a lot of low liners. Am I almost getting too much shaft lean? Because I'm looking like 3 inches in front of the ball, and I'm wondering maybe I don't need to do it that much anymore. Is that part of a
great question? And this is, this would be a tough question. That's if I didn't know your swing, because I know what you do. We've noticed in your swing with irons that you're getting too far ahead with your body, right? So you're athletic enough, and you figured out that, okay, if I swing, and your cast has gone way down. You had a massive cast when you started. Now it's probably cut in half. But you've also figured out, okay, I'm going to slide my head more forward, so you get pretty far ahead of the ball, and it's helping you make good contact, but it's mixing in kind of with a little bit with the cast. So that is where your issue is. If you would have it where you made it where you were still back, your head was where it was positioned when it started, then you would be fine. And that's why I haven't adjusted it yet, because of that, you being too far forward. The fix is simply not letting you come forward anymore and having the adjustment be more with your hands, okay? So I would suggest doing drills, figuring out how you can not let your head go forward, which just one of the best things is mirror. I mean, out here, well, knowing that you guys haven't seen sun in forever, you may have to do something else, but in Arizona, you just get the sun at your back, and you just look at your head right in front of you and make sure when I get down to impact, I'm right there. But also, I know you do work with mirrors. You can do the same thing. And you notice if I come in with sliding here or here, there has to be more shaft lane, right? If I stay back. So I think you still need to look forward. We just have to figure out how to keep you back so you get the height with it too.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else, Julie? Yeah, so I'm gonna. I think I'll continue talking about this with some more drills. I think a few more drills to get into this a little bit deeper, and unless somebody wants me to switch topics, then just shout out. But so like golf, I think with all things, it's so intertwined. Killing the fat golf shot and how it's intertwined also with the top golf shot and what we do in reaction. So just remember in golf, what we're doing always is we're reacting basically to the center of the mat, center mass of the club face angle. So amazing that it is, you take anybody that their body, their mind knows that if I'm coming down, it knows that it's like this. And this is where most people struggle. They come down with club face wide open like this. Okay. So like I said, what are we going to do from there when it's like that? We won't have shaft lean, we won't get in front because we stand up, which is it's a very athletic move. We stand up and we throw it really hard. And we end up like that, right? So the key, like I said, is learning to get this club face coming more closed and down. So a great way to feel this is with split grip. And so we just go down. And I guess the other thing I want to mention about grip real quick, if I have a really, really weak grip with basically the meaty part of my hand on the side and really weak that way, like I consider weak, neutral, and strong grip is okay for this, but not when we get this meaty part on the side. Because when I do that, look how I can't twist the club hardly. This is all the movement I have. So it's kind of hard for me to twist this club down if I can only move it this far. Now, when I get this meaty part of the hand on top, even with a weaker grip, look how much more movement I have of it. And believe me, this is all the pros are doing is they're twisting the shaft on the way down. They're not throwing it to close it, right? So is there some release of it out this way? Yes, there is. But there's also this wrist is doing this, calling the motorcycle move. Now, do you have to know exactly how much this is moving? How much? No, you don't. But I'll tell you this. If you have a massive cup in your lead wrist, watch this club face. It's wide open, isn't it? Watch happens when I get rid of it and I go pretty flat and I get to here. Yeah, it's in a much better position. But if it's cupped, it's wide open. And so most people have a very, very cupped lead wrist on the way down, which is their club face is open. So they have to figure out a way down. How do I flatten my wrist out and get it flat? And so some people will ask me, so why don't I just do it on the way up and get a really, really flat wrist on the way up and kind of hold it on the way down? Is that an option? Well, I don't like holding anything, but here's the deal. That has to match a certain person. Like John Rahm, it works for because he's able to propel a lot of mass through it. If you don't have a lot of that, it's very hard. You have to be very limber too. I mean, there's a lot of movement when you go like this. That their hands are moving more like this too. They're moving into extension quicker, like Dustin Johnson. And the other problem with that thing is most people, it'll make them even shorter. And most amateurs don't need to get shorter in length because hand path and length of your hand path is directly related to how far you're going to hit it. Okay. So if I get even shorter in my swing, most amateurs don't need to be shorter, then I have more of an issue. Okay. So, and I'd say about 90% of players have do more of the closing on the way down. Okay. I mean, it's something to mess with if you want, just to see what happens. But in essence, you're going to get a little bit shorter over the long run. Okay. So I'm going to suggest split grip. I like to hinge it right in front of you like this. Come up. I only like using left arm parallel for this stuff, right? And then I want you to come down and land in front of it. Now, here's the thing. Like, I would take out, this is what I tell players, I would take out landing behind the ball from what you do for the rest of your life. So if I'm right here and I do this drill, so see I have base in better position, I want to learn to land up here. So if I'm here, like I feel like all we're doing is putting in bad muscle memory when we keep practicing ending right here. We don't want to end here. We want our lowest point up here. So if I'm doing practice swings and I'm like this, I'm going to come here, here. I'm going to get more here in front because this is where I want to get down, right? I want to be here, not back here. Okay, so I feel like always, and this is, when you go play, I would take a practice swing and make sure before you go that you're landing up front. Now, you can hit balls with this thing. Like for me, since I'm old, I have trouble getting enough right side bend to get down. So I would have to tee it up. But you go here, here. And I like the freezer drill part where you kind of stop. So that way you can kind of gather what you're doing and think about it. And that's it. Now, what's key is I want you to notice how I finish doing that. This club is what? Parallel to me. I didn't go like this. I kept it here. So I relied on my rotation to get it like this. So this is a great feeling. This is why hockey players smash the ball and don't have a problem with this, which is interesting. Because hockey, you hit behind the ball, but they transition real easy because everything's forward in hockey. I do a lot of hockey drills because it's really easy to get forward. And then you just got to feel a lot of rotation and feel like you're ending here. And you don't need to do this with a ball hitting it. Just you can rehearse it inside for sure. And I'll even do things like, to get the feeling of this, you can grab a hockey stick. A lot of my players will have a impact bag like this. And just to kind of get the feeling of what we're doing from the top, you take this thing, have the long end kind of out this side. I'm going to get into posture and feel like, what does it take me to get down to here? It's just a little, I'm going to have to get a little longer. There we go. Boom. And learn like what it is just kind of start smacking this thing with that feel. And then you can kind of feel like, what would it be? How would my hand be like that? It'd be right there. Boom. But getting that feel of doing this more with what you're going to feel like is your body doing stuff, but really then it is your hands casting. And as David and I have talked a lot about is the right wrist, the trail wrist. It's massive importance in the golf swing. We're loading this trail wrist like this on the way back, and we're not letting that go right away, right? So I always say this, it's like a long time ago in coaching, I did this, and I think a lot of, well, I still hear it all the time, unfortunately, but people will talk about take this club and kind of like just see if you can get to a doorway here holding this, and then you'll be okay. Problem is nobody can hold it. You know, I would say King Kong can't do it. What we can do is we do have the ability to control what happens first, so we don't go like this right away. So we have that ability right here, but then after that, it's that sequencing, which we did just by going here, boom, feeling that movement there, and then letting this happen instead of our first move being this. But as long as we have that club face in a good position, some of that sequencing there, and knowing that we're trying to keep some wrist angle here, then we have so much more power. Because you think about it, if I come here and I don't have wrist angle anymore, how much power can I really generate to this head? Nothing. I mean, there's hardly any. So it's going to be really weak versus, you know, me or somebody, a pro coming down there like this. So I have so much of this to release. This is where the angular momentum happens, where it's so fast. Like we're lining up. It's just like a skier on a boat or the skier on the back of a boat being pulled. When he gets out of line, what's trying to happen? It's going to go really fast when you're trying to come in line with the boat. The same thing that happens here with angular momentum. It'll go really fast right there. That's why the fastest we're moving with our hands is here. After that, it slows down because angular momentum takes over and it goes super fast through there. But we have to have our body in the right position so it can happen correctly. And that's basically what I say. The body isn't like what people are talking about, producing this massive speed by spinning and doing stuff like that. No, it's supporting what our hands and arms are doing, allowing it to happen. That's why those drills, like I just showed the impact bag, are so good, because you learn that like to hit this thing, nobody would ever hit this bag and go, I got to move it and go. They don't do that. They don't never move backwards. Anybody I have hit this, they go like this, no matter what they go forward and propel it like that. And even if I just take this bag and say, hey, how would you move this forward? You'd start seeing this, my hips opening, my weight getting forward, hands trying to go left like this. That's the golf swing, right? So we're reacting to something if we're doing this. And what are we reacting to? The space, right? That's the only reason anybody would go like this, because it never happens without that ball there. So we have to get that out of there so we don't react anymore to what this club face is doing by it being open. I prefer at first for people to get it extra close, so the ball starts going maybe a little left on them, because the antidote to that ball going left is the exact opposite of what you're doing now. The antidote would be this: clear it out of the way and hands more forward. The antidote to the club face open is what? Standing up, I stop moving and I square it. But if this club face is coming down more like this and I stop, what's going to happen? This thing's going dead left. So antidote, rotate, turn, shaft lean, boom, and then now I start building consistency, because I'm getting in front, I'm rotating, I'm using my body, letting it support, and I'm ready to go. So a little deeper look into it. I know I've covered a lot. I'm going to put some kind of notes together to go with this. But simply, if you boil all this down to what something you can take with you is this: get this club face in a better position here, and then learn to do the drills I talked about, hitting in front of the ball from this height to this height. If you can do that, then you can do it. And the simple way to take this out to the course is go out to the course. Let's say it's time to play. Here I am. So I don't have to think about all this. I can think about anything on my practice swing. I'd probably think about, how do I get in front of the ball? So I took one swing, I got in front. I got two, I just landed in front. Now I'm going to step up, and all I'm going to think about is getting in front. Boom. So I got in front. So you take a rehearsal or two of landing in front, the 4.3A. And so when I watch my swing, I look at any pro swing or any good golfer swings, all I have to do is watch my low point. That's the variable that'll tell me about my shot. If that's a 2, think how different that is where I'm hitting the ball than a 4. So I'm not going to have as good a shot. So getting that number to be near the same every time, that's consistency. And it's something we can control, right? We can control getting forward. Another great way to do this is just grabbing a piece of tape, something like this. Or if you go in your backyard, just making a line in the ground and just sit there, throw your club behind it and go from here to here. Because the only way for me in front is to have some wrist angle like this, right? Because if I throw it, where am I going to come down? Back here. I have to have wrist angle and I have to rotate. So if I want to get in front of this line, just in a real little swing, there we go. I have to have some wrist angle and I have to rotate. If I throw the club, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to land back here. So practice that over and over. Just figure out, what do I have to do? Key is watch yourself in a mirror in front or something so you're not doing this with your head, cheating it, okay? Okay. Anything else, Julie? I think I kind of hit that one pretty hard. Okay. So a couple minutes left. Any questions from kind of the that topic coverage? If not, we'll wrap it up. I'll send some meeting notes. Cool. Thank you everybody for attending. I'm going to, I haven't figured it out, but I should have said before, everybody that comes is going to get something, but everybody's getting something. So thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support, and look forward to some meeting notes, and feel free to ask a question in school if you have anything